Hey there, happy Saturday there. Hopefully you had a great past week of trading. Happy March. Hopefully this month offers great opportunity. Just to go over some of the past week plays and some of the things I saw and some of the things I took. Again, all these are for educational purposes only, alright? But first and foremost, as I mentioned last week, PRCH was a classic episodic pivot. 5-star. I did end up selling this. Just because I don't have enough buying power right now, because I'm still kind of in a small account phase at the moment. But I pretty much, there's no reason to sell this. I want you to understand that sometimes this is what has to happen. As I mentioned, most of these EPs in prior videos, they make these ranges, sideways consolidations. Then you're going to have down the road, ideally this range break eventually is going to crack. The more sideways the better, you know, how it's holding the surfing, and ideally over 720. As within every of these range breaks, open ranges, EPs, it's the exact same pattern over and over again, okay? So ideally, congrats to whoever is long on this one. The play's still there. I mean, if you're still, the ideal entry day was on, of course, the first grade, as I mentioned. But that does not mean that there's not going to be another opportunity down the road. There is. It's going to be over 720, over this range day right there. If that does happen, then awesome. That's going to be a 5-star setup. Because then always look at the long-term chart, and this is really what you want. You want this to consolidate, you know, for a couple of days after the run-up. Then you have that another leg higher, in a sense. That's pretty much the gist of this setup. So on this one for sure, next week, the higher the better. I could definitely see this going over 720, and who knows how high this can go. We just play it as it is. And always remember, guys, the overall markets are still kind of in a slump. Again, remember that 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market, so it's your job in a sense to understand that. And again, you don't have to trade every day. Don't do that. Just focus on 1 or 2 things, and if you don't do nothing that fits your criteria, just walk away, okay? But yeah, that's PRCH. The one I did take on Friday was another episodic pivot, ORGO, earnings, okay? And we have earnings season coming up, and this is really one of the great patterns out there. It's all about pretty much the reaction to earnings, and you want positive year-over-year growth, earnings per share, and most importantly, you want attention, you want volume. ADR is roughly 8%. Good chart pattern as well. Again, it's a surprise to the markets. Look at the volume, as you can see right there, compared to prior. Always look to the past, as I always say. It's a surprise to the markets, and this has gone in the past during the COVID era. But look at the volume. Okay, the volume is a telltale sign, and we'll see it closed really well. But let's just go back here. You can see the exact same setups, over and over and over again. Right there, right there, right there, and somewhat right there. But this is really the gist of it right here, is whenever you have the sideways, you know, for a while, then the range break. So I am still long this. I did not see, with these opening range highs, you want to get it right away. You want to get it right out of the open as it opens up. Let's go on this chart here. This is better. You want to get it as soon on the first 5 minute, whatever, as soon as it opens up, and you want to lose low of day as your stop. But sometimes in the market conditions, you're going to get stopped out quite a bit. Because sometimes, as I mentioned, the setup doesn't work. And given it was a Friday, I just simply waited. You know, I let it do its thing, and you can see it had a nice consolidation until about power hour, and that's where I got long at 540. It's a classic ABCD setup intraday. You know, you have the spike. It's like A, B, C, and you buy there. Pretty much, you know, you have the spike here, the peak, the run up. This is pretty much. This is the A. This is the B. This is the C. This is the D. And you want to risk this area. You want to buy here, risk that. And it's pretty much another setup intraday. There's numerous ABC setups intraday all the time. This is the classic one. I had it on radar, and as soon as I reclaimed VWAP, that's where I took the entry. And ideally, I want to swing this. I am swinging this one. Higher the better. Again, earnings, you always want to understand, put into overall context. why, what, how, why earnings. As I always mention, use Finviz. Finviz is a great platform. Well, that's right there. There's a lot of other things, but earnings per share, you know, is positive, very positive year-over-year growth. As I mentioned, I believe I did look at this on. Did I? Let me see. I think I did. I'm not sure. Increase, yeah. So it is positive. It's a positive outlook and positive for the future to say. Yeah, 20. Yeah, they're growing, so that's good in hindsight. And of course, the market cap is under 1 billion, which is pretty much the sweet spot. I like that. It has room to grow. And also, as well, any buy ratings on this. Who knows? Just you want, again, as I mentioned, EPs. You want news. You want legs for this to go up. But yeah, ideally, the higher the better. Trail 10-day. Pretty much the exact same scenario as I mentioned on PRCH. Let it do its thing, let it go sideways, okay? But I am long this one from about 545 average. Not the best entry. As I mentioned, you really want to get in with these on the opening minute or so, right where it's bought to take off their ranges, okay? But I missed it. But sometimes these are going to offer numerous entries, okay? As I mentioned, these EPs offer numerous entries. So you don't want to chase it up here, okay? Because remember, you want to buy it just right. Let it pull back, let it do its thing, and as long as it's not up greater than the average true range, don't chase the stock. Wait for a consolidation phase like this for a potential reclaim and expansion, okay? But another one I did pretty much try to get long was TRNR. I got faked out numerous times. I just love the pattern here. This is more of a different type of setup. It's more of a liquidity trap in a sense. You have a lot of short sellers who are just trying to short this, and it leads to these little runs. And it's a very tricky stock. Very, very intraday. It's very choppy, as you can see here in the daily chart. But you can pretty much see how it pretty much gives back its gains every day. And the fact that it was basing to Friday, that was my thesis, as I'm waiting for that range break over 240. I was aiming for that here in the morning, but it's stuffed, and I still watched it, and as I had price alerts, I saw it break the range to 240, and I got long here. And ideally, again mentioned, I got long over the range break. Ideally, you want this. It had a nice run to 3, and you wanted this to continue. You know, I thought on a Friday it was going to have a massive parabolic, and it didn't. It had a nice retrace downwards to holding these ranges, which is a good sign of strength. It's holding the prior resistance now becomes support, which is a great sign of strength. But I just didn't want to hold this over the weekend. I don't know. I don't like these, but the pattern is there. I can definitely see this gapping for sure, given that the 1 second. Sorry, I can. Who's texting? Sorry about that. I can definitely see this gapping over 3 or 320 because the pattern is there. This is and the ADR is extremely high. It's like 30%. 5-star overall. Again, the news on this does not really matter. It's just more of momentum. You know, that's really what these come down to. These micro runners, low float stocks. It's just purely momentum. But the setup is there, nevertheless. Ideally, gap up. If you're long this, congrats. If not, then who knows? This could gap down. But it's just like, and this is a good scenario. Okay, I don't understand the short sellers. Like, you have to think of terms of upside versus downside. Okay. If you're gonna short this, what is your potential downside to what? You know, go back, make $2 a share, but look at the upside. Look at the upside. Okay, this can go to who knows how high this can go if you're short. Look at the upside. Okay, and this is why I like this setup. It reminds me of IMPP back in the oil sector days and dries. But we'll see if this does gap. Ideally, you have a nice squeeze out of it. Another one I was watching, let me see. This is a different type of setup. Gorilla was one I mentioned in the last week's video. Nice range break out of the range right there. 5-star, you know, surfing the moving averages to a T. I did not get long this because of buying power issues. But ideally, let it do its thing. I can see this definitely breaking out a bit long term. The short interest is high, along with the ADR is roughly 17.4% high ADR. It's an AI theme, so why can't this go higher? You know, I'm watching it for sure. Have price alerts over 32. But yeah, that's that one. You want to look at past runners and look how strong this one has been. You know, it's still holding its ranges in a sense, so it's a sign of strength in a given the certain market conditions we're going. Okay, Sown is another one, AI theme as well. I'm watching this one. Had earnings on Friday and positive year-over-year growth as well. The short interest is extremely high on this one. That is why I am keeping it on a backlist in a sense. I'm just waiting for it to break out of the range. Short interest is roughly 28%. It's extremely high. And as you can see on the long-term chart, it has gone in the past. And again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Look at the past. This has gone in the past. I remember last year, I missed it completely. I had it on scan, but I was at work whenever it broke, and I was so mad at myself because this is what happens. This is a 5-star setup, okay? When you see this consolidate like this, and you have that range break, that's a 5-star setup. I missed it. I was at work, but I had it on scan. And again, it offered numerous setups over the course of the last year or so. But that's just one I'm watching. And again, let's just go back, the exact same setups over and over again. Okay, sound like a broken record. There, pretty much even, I would say even there. And this one kind of failed. But yeah, that's the one I'm watching. Ideally, it's pretty much near the moving average. That's why I'm watching it. I'm watching over $12. I really don't like trading these stocks that are beaten down this much, but I'm only watching it given the fact the short interest, is high. So that's why I'm watching that one. Same thing with HIMS, same type of scenario. It's basing really well. Short interest is extremely high. Recent runner, as I mentioned. Ideally, same type of play. Range break over $46. I love how it's surfing the moving averages. You know what? Flag pattern. So that is that one. Another one is Root. I mentioned last week. Root is another short interest, which is extremely high. They reported earnings last week. 5-star setup, 5-star chart, as I mentioned last year. EP galore right there, and of course had a run up right here, which we're on right now. I can definitely see this going over 140. Let it do its thing, let it base, let it consolidate, then ideally have a range break just like we had back here in this day. You know, same thing there. You know, and stocks move in stairs. It doesn't go to A to Z without going through the rest of the letters. Let it do its thing, let it base. Over 140, who knows? But along with it, test 130. That's all that really matters with that one. But yeah, that one's that one. CAPR is another one I'm watching, a different type of setup really. This one was last year, had another EP galore range break last year, right there. As I mentioned, run up, consolidation, break. Okay, same thing there. This one kind of failed. But the reason why I'm watching this one is just because it's surfing and basing extremely well for the past 2 months. Past 2 months it's been consolidating extremely tight, and it's getting tighter and tighter. And that's really why I'm watching it. There's no news on it at the moment, but there's an upcoming. Well, no, there's not. There's no news on at the moment. I'm just watching it because it's a former runner, and I love how it's basing. So we'll see how this can break over $16 if that happens. 1 second. Over $16 if that happens. If not, I'm gonna have price alerts on it. Okay, just one of those speculative setups. Another one I'm watching is Jet AI, another AI theme. This pretty much is the same type of one that reminds me of Ocean back in the day. I think I have that ticker on here. I'm not sure if I can find it. Here we go. This kind of reminds me of this one back in the day. You know, it's pretty much like a small cap runner, liquidity trap. Love how it based. Again, run up and had a range break out of nowhere. I was on that one. I got long that one. Good on that one. That's pretty much the exact same setup I'm watching with this one. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just one of those speculative ideas. On the hourly chart, I love how it's holding the ranges extremely well, surfing them. Range break over ideally $7.60, even $8, and it did fail numerous times this past week. But it's just one of those trades I'm watching just for down the road, if it does happen. Other than that, I'm looking at other ones now. CR hood, same type of scenario. If it does bounce, it does. Lemonade, I'm still watching, of course, on this one. Short interest is extremely high. Again, recent runner, as I mentioned, said in the past. It's over $38. That's really what I'm watching for. I love how it's basing on the 10 and 20 and 50 EMAs. So that's going to be one to watch for sure. And it's pretty much like a descending triangle, descending triangle in a sense. So it's just, I love how it's doing its thing. So it's just a matter of time in a sense till it goes. And if not, no big deal. But over 38, over 40 for sure on that one. Go-to is a 5-star setup, as I mentioned. Again, a recent runner. It has ran in the past, as you can see here, off earnings numerous times. So this one I'm watching for sure. Again, these stocks moving stairs. Look how it's setting sideways 2 days. That's what you want to see. You want to see consolidation. That attracts buyers. So over 370 on this one, long term. If not, as long as it holds above 340, that's a good sign. But for sure, open ranges on that one. Other than that, I'm not really seeing nothing else. If you see anything else, let me know, okay? But that's really what I'm watching. It's the exact same setups over and over again, okay? But I am long ORGO, okay? But yeah, hopefully y'all had a great February. Hopefully y'all stick to your game plan. Just understand that, again, if you're just getting started, you have to understand what you're doing. Why are you doing what you're doing? Okay, don't just do random stuff. That will lead to random results. Just focus on your system, focus on your trading setups, and go from there. Okay? That's all you have to do. There's no need to overcomplicate it. There's no need to force nothing. There's no need to do none of that. Okay? Filter out the news and just focus on your setups. For March, that's really what I want you to do in March. Focus on 1 or 2 setups in March. Stop going from strategy to strategy. Stop doing that. Okay? I promise you, if you try this in March for 1 month, have a set risk, focus on 1 or 2 specific setups that you have backtested, and they work over and over again. And again, sometimes they're not going to work, but it's your job is whenever you recognize the pattern to take the trade. Don't hesitate, don't think, just do. It's having expectations in the long run that you're going to come out net winner in the end. Alright? But yeah, hopefully you have a great March. I will make a video likely this upcoming week if I see any plays and perhaps if anything does develop. But again, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.